All right. Hello, friends. Welcome to our second podcast of a podcast I don't have a name of just yet. So if you guys have any ideas, feel free to send me some ideas. But today I have Miss Taylor on the podcast. She has been a coach for Project Strength for almost a year now, which is crazy. Our anniversary is coming up. But I'm super excited because she has not only been a part of Project Strength, but she's a really great friend of mine. And we share a lot of similar values and ideas when it comes to health and fitness. So, Taylor, tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, what got you into fitness and where are you from?
So I am from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So, fun fact, Canadian here, originally born and raised though in Ontario. So, those of you who are not from Canada, I grew up on the East Coast. I now live on the West Coast. So, that's the little change there. I, for fitness, have been an athlete for a very, very long time. When I was 4 years old, my dad bought me a dirt bike. And by the age of 10, I was fully immersed in racing. And I did that very competitively until about the age of 18. And then with my father's passing, I did decide to take a step back from motocross. And that's where I then fell into bodybuilding, a competitive edge where I was able to just focus on me and really still continue being competitive until last year, 2025, when I then stepped away from that and then decided to bring myself into a half marathon, rocked it, and now I'm training for a half Ironman. So, athlete from almost the womb until now, where I am 26.
Oh my gosh. And this is like, there's so many layers to this. I feel like, the first podcast I filmed was my journey. And I was like, wow, it's been like a decade of health and fitness. Like, there's so many layers I forget about. And it's particularly, I forget about the beginning of my journey because it's so long ago. So, like, I want to take a second. Like, what was fitness like for you early on? Like, when you were first getting into the gym or when you were first working out, what did that look like for you?
I was actually reflecting on this about a week ago, and it's so crazy because when I was young, I was always into some sort of activity, whether it be baseball, volleyball, always on the team in school. And if you knew me in person, you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, you're the girl who's on the volleyball team. And then she is so excited for track and field. So ever since I was young, I just loved movement. I felt so grateful to move my body. But full gym training actually started when I met my husband when I was 16. And he invited me to come to Florida for a training camp. So in grade 11, I took 3 months off of school. I went to Florida with him, and my father let me go. He helped fund me going there, and we rode and we went to the gym. And this was my first experience in the gym, but it was me and four other literal men. I was the youngest one there, and I just remember selling my soul every single day because I wasn't as fast as them on the track, but I could see that in the gym I could keep up. I
Hmm.
could do it. And I actually remember my husband sitting me down one night and he goes, when you were out, the guys were saying, and they were so admirable how hard you push in the gym. Like, you were right there. And I feel like when he said that, when I had that acknowledgement, that was like, whew, I'm good at this. I might not be as fast as the men on the dirt bikes, but in the gym, don't count me out.
Mm. Wow, that's really interesting. So it was a dirt bike camp that you went
It
to,
was.
but they
Yeah.
had strength training involved.
They had strength training. So about 4 days a week, we would actually go to the local Planet Fitness in Panama City, Florida. And that is where we would do our strength training. It was a lot of full body,
Mm.
but that was it. Honestly, was my favorite part of the camp. And I think that's what later on led me in to bodybuilding because I just
Mhm.
loved how strong I felt in the gym and how in control I was of my progressions.
Mm. Wow. This is so interesting. I had no idea that you started weightlifting first in Florida.
Right? In a Planet
Interesting.
Fitness.
Hey, I started at Planet Fitness too. I used to make my dad go with me when I was like 13. And because I was only allowed to go if I had an adult. So we'd go and I'd
Yes.
grab, you remember those purple candies that they had at the front?
Hmm.
Those things, I love those things. Like still to this day, I think about them. I'd like grab handfuls of those and then I just go run on the treadmill because that's all I knew what to do at the age of 13. So you started strength training while like doing still racing, but then you stepped away. So what did your fitness journey look like when you, because I know you taught at 45, and you did a few different things. So like what did that transition feel like and look like for you?
Yeah. So transitioning away through my training with motocross, like I said, it was very full body. And it was funny because the ideology within motocross is like when you're not racing, when you're in your winter season, you lift weights. And then come April, when you start racing, you stop lifting.
Mm,
You don't lift weights anymore. You ride and you do a little bit of cardio. So it was never sticking. Right? Because I was being occasionally great. I was not being consistently good. So my body was almost going in a wave.
mm,
And when I stopped racing, there was about 6 months where I didn't do anything. Like I said, I lost my father. I was sad. I was hurt. I would run. I would randomly put on shoes and run just to let my emotions out, but I wasn't doing anything consistent. And I actually hired a coach and she wrote me a at-home workout plan and a nutrition plan, and it was during COVID and I locked in. I locked in and I saw my body change so much more than I'd ever seen it before because I was being consistently good. I was showing up to my home workouts 5 days a week with my 20-pound dumbbells, and I was hitting 10,000 steps and going on my cycle bike for 20 minutes 4 times a week. And I
wow.
saw my body literally transform. Within 3 months, I had my chin held up high. We lived at the beach. I was wearing crop tops and shorts because I felt so good, better than I ever have. And I honestly was working less hard than I was in motocross.
Mm, interesting. So I'm curious, like what made you decide to hire a coach?
I was lost.
Mm,
I knew what to do for dirt bikes. I
mhm,
knew how to be a good dirt bike racer, but that's not who I wanted to be at that time. It just
mm,
wasn't sitting right in my heart, and I felt stuck. I was lost. I wanted to open a new chapter. I wanted to start writing a new chapter in my book of my life, but I didn't know how to start that chapter.
mm,
And whatever I tried, it just didn't stick because I didn't have belief in it because I didn't have the knowledge yet.
mm. And so what was your goal when you hired a coach? Like what did you want to actually achieve?
Well, I had a screenshot of Paige Riley,
Mm,
Cycra 2016, and I said, I want to look like this. I want to look like her.
name drop.
Yeah, I was a fangirl. And it's okay to have idols. It's okay to have inspiration. Now, as the wise woman I now am, I understand that it's a lot more than the outside and a whole lot more about the inside. And I've worked on the inside of me so much more this last year, and I've never loved myself so much. But yeah, my goal was to look like Paige Riley.
And so is that because she was a bodybuilder? I don't know if she was actively competing at that time, but is that what got you then into competing?
Yes. I
Mm,
didn't compete with that coach. She was a lifestyle coach. So it what we did, how we changed my body, it stuck. And then I ended up hiring a full-on bodybuilding coach once I got
Mm.
to a spot where I was like, okay, I'm consistent. I'm ready to step this up a notch. I understand macros. I'm going to the gym now. It was post-COVID. And yeah, then that's when I went full tilt bodybuilder Taylor for about 3 years.
Wow. And I was thinking about this yesterday, and I was going to make a piece of content on it, but like, how do you know when you need to hire a coach? And I think hearing your perspective is really helpful because it was like I had a goal that I wanted to achieve that I'd never done before, and I did not know how to get there on my own. So I asked for help. And I think that is a great way to summarize like what most people the first time hiring a coach, when to do it. Because it's like, yes, like you could try on your own. And I think that there's some power in trying and seeing what doesn't work for you. But when you have something, you want to achieve something you've never done before, you can save yourself so much time, energy, and money getting someone that's already walked in your shoes and that can like walk you through it. And like that's exactly what. So when I hired my first coach was a bodybuilding coach. 0 out of 10 recommend jumping right into a prep. The first coach you ever hire, the first time you ever do a diet, the first time you ever follow a program, 0 out of 10 recommend that. But it was because I was like, I saw these girls come into the gym that were all bodybuilders and they had something I wanted. The way they carried themselves, the way that they looked, I was like, I want to be like that. So I hired their coach and it helped me get there. And I got there in 4 months. Now, was it in a healthy way? Absolutely not. I would never do that again now that I've learned. But I think so many people are like, I don't know if I need a coach. And that's a great question for us to be answering because I don't think everyone needs a coach. Although I think it's a great addition. Not everyone needs it. For example, like myself right now.
Yeah. And I think it so much depends on where you are and, like you said, what you want to achieve. Because if you want to achieve a big goal you've never set, you're going to need guidance. Would you want a doctor to help you who is like, what you're like, what's your credentials? Well, nothing. I just like figured it out as I went. I'd be like, you're not going to be my doctor. Sorry, you're not going to be my doctor. But for our girls who want to be coaches, I think you need a coach to become a
True,
coach.
true.
And a lot of people, and I know a lot of people who follow us, who work with us, who can listen to us, they want to be coaches. And I think the one barrier that people are setting in front of themselves to achieving their goals is allowing themselves to be taught.
Mm. No, that's a really good point too. So like, yes, like when you have a goal that you haven't gotten yet, it's important to seek guidance, but also you need to have walked through it too. So like if you want to be a coach, like you need to know how to be coached. I've had 3 or 4 coaches in my lifetime and then business mentors and all these things because I want to get better and I want to improve and I want to create systems. Like we have so many girls that we coach that want to be online coaches. And I'm like, hey, if you see ideas, if you see some of our systems, use them. I don't care. Like I want you to be able to help these people. And if you see things that you want to do better, like cool, do it differently. But like definitely be coached in order to become a coach. And then another thing I was thinking about too is like, yes, if you have a goal that you've never achieved, but also if you've never been able to keep the
I
goals
was
that you
about to
have.
say, you can
Um,
crash diet yourself easily. Anyone
yeah.
could do it. Anyone can look up on ChatGPT. Don't like it, but anyone can search on ChatGPT a diet that sticks. You can go fast alone, but you're going to go far together because you're going to have accountability. You're going to learn the steps along the way. You're going to climb the mountain. You're not going to teleport.
Hmm.
Sorry, there's a reason why as humans we can't teleport. Like, so why are you
Yeah.
trying to teleport through your health and fitness journey?
Yeah. And so like I think that's a big thing too and like something that um I talk to with a lot of my women that I coach too is like yeah, they know what to do, but They think all day long for other people. They're doing things for other people. They don't have the mental capacity to be considering, what macro adjustments do I make? What program do I write? And it's like, to have someone in your corner to help you out when you're pouring into so many other people. So many of our like girls are in the healthcare field, or teachers, or
Mothers.
coaches themselves, where it's like they're giving so much of themselves to other people and to serving others that sometimes their own needs take the back burner. Or moms, we coach a lot of moms too, where it's like that's a great opportunity too, to just take something off of your plate where they can help you, to guide you, so you don't have to sit there wondering, is this right? Am I doing the right thing? Should I do this? What day do I go? What do I train? It takes some of that away. But okay, so my next question, and this is completely off. Fun fact, guys, I don't script a single thing ever. The reels that I post, nothing, because I get weird if I script it. Like, it's so obvious. I tried to be a theater kid growing up, and I was just awkward. Like, I failed to be like, no. So it's completely off of what I had planned for an outline. But when do you not, or should you not hire a coach?
When do you not? Well, number one, when you're not financially in a safe spot to do so.
Mhm.
Never put yourself in an uncomfortable position, because it's just your results aren't going to stick because you're going to be stressed. That's number one. Like, make sure that you're feeling good financially. We don't want to over stress you. Now, on the contrary to that, don't live in savings fear. Nick
Mm,
Comanina said that. Don't be in like say don't be savings broke,
yeah.
because because this is our one life. We have one life here on earth, and you want to make the most and best out of it. That's a difficult question. When to
Yeah.
not hire a coach. I think that if your goals are not rooted in the right reason,
Mm,
like if you're trying bodybuilding, for example, if you're doing it because you want to be seen as a female by men, I don't
mm.
think that's the right reason. But other than finances, and you're doing it for the wrong reason, I don't see there's any other reason why you wouldn't. But I'd love to know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I like I've been pondering. I've been pondering this because like really like I don't think everyone needs a coach. I think at some point it is helpful to have a coach, but there's times when I don't think that you need it. Now, I will say, I think the finance one, yes, but also where there's a will, there's a way. So like I hired my first coach and I had like 25 bucks in my bank account and I just put it on a credit card. And
Yeah.
I made it work. And then somehow, some way, obviously, like God provides, but I also started to make more money when I had more energy, when I was more present. I got raises at work. I got acknowledged. I picked up more side gigs. Like, it made a
Confidence.
difference. Yeah. So like sometimes I'm like the best thing I ever did was spend money on myself. And it's funny because I felt a little selfish when I first hired like my first coach, or when I hired a business mentor. I was like, man, like I'm spending money on myself. It's like I actually got a return on that more so than if I would have just bought a physical thing. That mentorship meant a lot. Um, I think when you are not ready to be challenged, don't hire a coach. When you're not in a place where like being challenged is going to have you rise to it, instead you're going to fall, that's where it's like, okay, maybe this is not the time. And to kind of add to that, if you need professional help, like therapy, like counseling, your coach is not a therapist. Now, we do help you work through, like, especially project strength, we help you work through some really hard things. But for example, I had a conversation with another friend of mine who's a coach, and it's like if we can tell that a potential client or a client is actively in an eating disorder, trigger warning, um, that's professional. They need professional help. That is not within our scope. So those are some things where I'd be like, hey, like go seek professional help. And if they recommend like getting a coach for accountability too, then we can work in conjunction to keep them accountable. But
Yes.
that's not our scope. If you have a metric ton of health issues, don't hire a bodybuilding coach to start a prep. That doesn't make any sense. Or a high rocks coach, or like if your hair is falling out, if your thyroid is messed up, if your gut is messed up, you do
Yeah.
not need to be pushing yourself to the absolute limits. But I think the biggest thing that came up when I like asked myself that question is like, if you're not ready to be challenged and or to be coached, so to be ready to like try new things or try things a different way, then I wouldn't hire a coach unless you're willing to kind of like drop the ego, which I have that problem. And that's I'm speaking to myself right now, by the way. Um, Drop the ego and actually take instruction. So I think that's like the biggest thing for me that came up.
One thing that's been so near and dear to my heart right now, which aligns with that so much, is just that so many people get trapped in the lies that they are telling themselves that they're not even able to see the truth that is on the other side and available to them. And it's just like that. If you are standing in front of the Great Wall of China, like we can't get through that wall, your heart's not open to the transformation, it's going to be so hard to achieve because you're going to be in a constant fight and battle with the lies you're telling yourself and the truth your coach is trying to speak into you.
Yeah. And I think so if you're new here, we're fitness coaches, so we help women. Basically, our business name is Project Strength because we believe the biggest project you can pursue is yourself. So that means we help you with your health and fitness goals. That's kind of like the gateway to self growth. But we also help you with your mindset, your identity, becoming her, that version of you that is your happiest and healthiest self. But it all goes so mentally, physically, spiritually, they all go hand in hand. So there's like, yes, there's like, macros, meal plan, uh, training program, whatever it is. But a coach is going to coach you through those things and help you with the mindset, with the identity behind that. With for some of our girls, we actually coach them through how to tie their faith, as we're Christian coaches, into it. We don't coach only Christian women, but we do help our Christian girls tie their faith into their fitness journey. And so being a coach is so much more than just, hey, here's your workout program. Here's your nutrition program. It's like, hey, let's figure out how to make this work for you as a person because what worked for your mom probably isn't going to work for you. Or what you saw that influencer doing, that their full-time job is fitness, probably isn't going to work for you. So I think that's been like the biggest thing. So you, I guess, to like kind of like pivot back to your journey and what we were talking about, but I think that was great because like really like you have to be ready to be coached, and you were ready at that time.
Yes.
So tell me, you competed for was it 3 years?
I did 2 seasons of
Okay.
bodybuilding competitions and then 1 full year of growth. I then did start my third prep, but in 2025, found myself sitting on the floor of my office, crying, confused, lost on why I didn't want to do something that I was so good at. Not good
Mm.
as in on the stage, but good as in execution day to
Mhm.
day.
And so, what do you feel like? What was your life like when you were actively competing and or in off season that you look back at now and you're like, wow, I can't believe I lived like that.
I was so selfish.
Mm.
I I was. I made my day to day revolved around me. It
Mm.
revolved around me and my goals. And that's what I started my day thinking about. And that's what I ended my day thinking about. Yes, I still poured into my now husband, boyfriend at the time. I still poured into my family, my friends, but I would put everything aside to put me first. My
Mm.
goals mattered the most.
It's funny you say that because so we were both bodybuilders background. I was a bodybuilder for about 5 years, and Tay and I actually met because we had the same coach. And I still like I hold bodybuilding very near and dear to my heart because it has made me the woman I am today. I would not have the confidence, I would not have the work ethic that I have. I wouldn't have the friends that I have without it. But I do see and I look back and I'm like, dang, like I was in fact selfish. I like specifically where I saw it most of all was my family and my relationships. And I think to an extent there was a time where that needed to happen because I had people in my life that didn't have boundaries, didn't respect me choosing me, and the only way that I would choose me is in a prep. So I think it was for good reason, but yeah, like I remember I couldn't go on dates with whoever I was dating at the time because I was too worried about the macros. Or my mom's birthday, like I didn't eat, I would just go. Like I'm going to dinner with my mom tonight for her birthday. Also, happy birthday, mom. Um, and I'm not going to think twice about it. And I think some of that is yes, it's bodybuilding, but it's me. And I have to take accountability for that because I took it to the extreme. And to be honest, I didn't have a healthy relationship with food before I even started prepping, and that just brought it out. So, like, I don't blame bodybuilding for everything, but I do see where it didn't serve me specifically. And I think it's very interesting to see it is a selfish sport, like 100%. Um, and so, like you said, you sat on your office floor crying, just like what tell me more about that moment. You were fed up, you weren't happy anymore with what you were doing?
It was, my body was changing. I think I prepped for about 8 weeks. I, I transformed. I looked great. I can look at the photos now and see them through a clear lens and say, I see what my coach was saying now. But
Hmm.
at the time when I looked at those photos, I, I told myself, you're not made for this. You're not meant for this. I was so mean to myself
Mm,
and I didn't know why. And I looked at my husband and I said, I just want to run. He's like, I hadn't gone on a run since when I was 16 years old and racing my dirt bike. But for some reason, I just wanted to run. And what now that I can connect all the pieces, I just wanted freedom.
mm,
I didn't want to be bound to something anymore. I didn't want to tie my identity to an external thing. I didn't want to be Taylor the bodybuilder. I didn't want bodybuilding to define me as a coach. I
mm,
didn't want all the compliments that I was craving to only be about my body. I was sick of it. I was fed up with it. And I knew that I had a bigger purpose here on this earth. And the tears were coming because I was so scared what was on the other side. But I was so fed up of walking through the wilderness because that's
mhm,
what it feels like when you're in a prep. You're in the wilderness, you're by yourself, you're suffering alone. But we tell ourselves that that's what we're supposed to do, but it's not. And I
mhm.
didn't want that anymore.
And so you said your identity was tied to being a bodybuilder. So when you finally laid that down, what was that experience like?
It was scary.
Yeah.
It was uncomfortable. But it was exactly what I needed to allow myself to enjoy every aspect of my life because I do live such a beautiful, adventurous life. And now I'm able to see every little thing and have so much gratitude for my dogs, for the ability to go for a walk. I live near the mountains. But when I was tied to bodybuilder, I would constantly ask myself, how is this serving me
Mm,
as that version? But now I just appreciate every little thing so much.
mhm. And I remember, like you and I have obviously gone through this together. Um, Learning balance after knowing discipline so well, and arguably I think for you and I discipline is easier than it is to be balanced. Like we can lock in, and like me being locked in is easy. I can say no, I can be consistent, but allowing more balance was the harder part. So like how did you navigate that?
I would say balance I'm kind of bad at. I love to be busy.
Mm,
Now, when I did, so I'm sitting on the floor. I just want to run. I just want to run. I did end up 3 days later going for a run, and I picked it up with my husband. So we were running 2 days a week. And we did that for about 3 months until I did a first 10K and I was like, I'm kind of good at this. So then I went into my half marathon training. So to me, I I truly don't think I live in balance currently,
Mm,
but I more so live a life that's fulfilling to me.
interesting. And I'm going to challenge you slightly just because I've seen your balance with nutrition take root, for
Yes.
sure. So I think you love to be moving and move your body, which is fulfilling to you. But I see a change in how, you approach your nutrition. You went intuitive, like you were able to have less structure and still, or to learn how to fuel your body for running. Very different from bodybuilding. And I would argue that that is a form of balance for you, but you're also in a season where you're training for a half Ironman. So balance is going to look
Different.
very
Now,
different.
if you pulled me back to my wedding, I got married in September. I left my coach in April. So someone would be like, that's a little crazy. Now, at the time when I left my coach, I didn't have a wedding planned. I put my wedding together very, very quickly.
Mhm.
As Paige would know, it was about like 3 months. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to get married. And 3 months before my wedding, I did start intuitive eating, which is absolutely insane because how many people are trying to crash diet into their wedding? And
Yeah.
I have a client right now who is intuitive eating into her wedding, following suit of me. And I remember sharing my journey, and she was like, that is what I crave. That is what I want. And I felt so beautiful, confident, and aligned at my wedding and navigating. You're right. I did find balance within my
Mhm.
nutrition. Now, how I did that, and this is actually something that we coach our girls through, is I found my 3 pillars,
Mm.
my 3 pillars of importance. And whenever I'm going through my day, and this helped root me a lot in my nutrition, is I would ask myself, what are my 3 pillars? So you guys know what they are. Number one is my physical, mental, and spiritual health. I put like my health into one big pillar. Number two is my marriage. And number three is my job because I love
Mhm.
it so much. And when I'm going through things, I know that to fulfill my 3 pillars, I want to be the happiest, healthiest version of me. So I ask myself, is this fulfilling all 3 of my pillars?
Mm.
Because a date night with my husband is. It
Mhm.
is. It is. It's allowing me to physically fuel my body. We need to eat as humans. We shouldn't be eating 1 to 2 meals a day. Mentally, it's giving me a nice release. Spiritually, God wants me to be in one with my husband and him in our marriage. Number two, it's making my husband happy. And for my job, it's showing my girls that they can do the same. So I can go
Mhm.
out and eat a burger and fries. But
Mhm.
if we are walking down the road and we just had burger and fries and my stomach is full,
Mhm.
I'm not hungry, and my husband says, I want an ice cream, it's also okay to say no
Mhm.
because I wouldn't be honoring my pillars if my stomach is full, but I said yes out of guilt because
Mm.
I wanted to overfill my marriage pillar. No, no, no. I made sure that I was always aligning my 3 things with all 3 of my pillars. And that allowed me to say yes when it aligned, but also say no when it didn't. And I think people struggle to have balance because they don't know who they want to be. But
Mm.
I built the identity first, and I knew what was so important to me that I knew what quote unquote balance was. And it wasn't one extreme or the other, it was meeting in the middle.
Mm. And this is so interesting to hear because, like, I don't know about you, but like navigating like once I decided to leave bodybuilding, navigating, it was like I was almost starting my fitness journey from the beginning. Like I was learning boundaries. and how to say no to certain people and how to say yes. I was learning consistency in a completely different way than I had known before. And it's kind of like what you're talking about, like knowing when to say no, when to say yes, and how to say no and how to say yes to like people around you or based off of who you want to become. And that's something we talk about with our girls is like, yes, like what's your goal? You know, like, do you want to lose like 10, 20 pounds? But who is that? What is that version of you? How does she handle bad days? What's important to her? How does she dress, walk, talk, act? What does she not do anymore? What does she not tolerate? Those kinds of things. And I think that is so fun. So if you're listening and you're like, man, like, I have no idea, just start writing it out. Start envisioning like you 6 months, maybe a year from now. What does her day look like? What does, she spend most of her time doing, reading, consuming, and it helps you kind of get clear on, okay, are the things I'm doing right now getting me closer to that future? We call it future you or her. We do like the little, if you're not watching the video, I just did a little rainbow with my hands. Um, so I'm curious, like, Taylor, now you're training for a half Ironman and you're honestly just like I've seen you so fulfilled and so happy and healthy. What would you tell someone that feels stuck right now or isn't sure where to start, whether they are brand new to their fitness journey or maybe they've been going through the motions? What do you feel called to share right now?
You're capable of so much more than you ever knew was imaginable, but you need to open up your heart and mind to guidance and trust within yourself that you have the ability to never give up on you, because this is our one worldly life and we're so lucky to have it.
I love that. And you'll see Taylor. Whoa. You'll see Taylor on a few more of my podcasts, and I'm sure you've seen her on my Instagram. But thank you so much, Taylor, for hopping on this. I'd love to know, where can they find you on socials or wherever?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at taymcleod.fit. And you can also find me on the Project Strength page. You can go there. I am tagged there. Or you can apply to work with me via the link in my bio or through the Project Strength page.
Awesome. Well, I hope you guys had a great time listening, and then stay tuned because we'll be doing a few more episodes and be covering some topics you guys requested.
Thank you.